Well, it's Wednesday. We're pleased to be joined by head coach Troy G. Ward for another Wednesday with Ward. You've got a new player. Tell us about Hugh Jessiman.
Well, Hugh Jessiman is a big man. That's what I can say. He's a big boy. He's like 6'5", probably, and about 230. He's had a real good year. He's been on an ATO with Lake Erie. You know, he's been signed down there in a kind of a tryout agreement all year, and it expired. And when it expired, him and his agent had a deal with those people in Lake Erie in Colorado, I'm sure, through the whole thing about him being potentially a free agent looking somewhere else. And I think they did down there what a lot of teams do. You sign players, give them an opportunity, kind of like we did with Chris Kalanos. It was the same type of deal. You give them a new start and see if they can get their life going again. And we were fortunate enough to get him because we got in a little bit of I'm sure, a bidding war with some other teams. He has 20 goals this year, the American Hockey League level, so we're excited to have him.
Where does he plunk in, and how did he look in practice today? Because this was day one for him as a member of this hockey club.
Well, I think where he'll plug in is he's a big guy, and we've obviously needed some size. We've been pretty small of late through our guys that have exited and through the injuries with our team. So he's a big guy. We'll play him up in the top couple of lines because of the fact that he has been able to score goals. So we'll put him in a skilled role here to start with and see what he can do. And then we'll manage his game accordingly. But he's always been a guy. He's a former first-round pick. I think he went 12th overall back in the day, and he's a good player. So we'll utilize him with our best players.
Not only do you add size in the form of Jessiman, but it looks like you might have Greg Nemus back. What can you tell us about Greg's return and how he's looked in practice?
Well, he's looked really good, and the really good part about it is a compliment to Greg, and it's a compliment to Mike Thompson, our strength coach. Like, he's worked really hard with him, and Greg spent a lot of time, because it has been a shoulder injury, he spent a lot of times on his legs, and he feels stronger than he has all year, probably even all the way back to the early part of the summer. He feels great. He looks good out here. So he's in really good shape, which is a compliment to both of those guys I just mentioned, and we're looking forward to getting them back out there.
What about Quentin Lang? He's a guy that had that injury that was a little more mysterious timeline. When do you foresee getting him? Because all of a sudden this group that we thought was pretty small up front could theoretically add three big parts here.
Yeah, it does add a big part. You make a good point. Well, Langer went today as well for the first time in a long time. He has been off the ice. So he's been on his own of late. Today was his first contact day. He seems to be doing great. His time frame is that, I think if he has another good day tomorrow, I am not a doctor, but if they back-to-back good days, he might play this weekend. His conditioning seemed good today, so we like that part. And we'll see where he's at. I'm a little on usually the slower, safer side. Because we're not going to win anything or do anything this weekend. Obviously, this franchise in Abbotsford here wants to win, like we haven't won, but of late as much. So we'd like to win, but at the same time, you got to protect your athletes and make sure they're ready.
Lots of success up in Calgary. 6 guys that have spent time here in Abbotsford now, regulars it appears for the Flames. Paul Byron a goal, and also Horak since they've been called up. How does that affect what happens here, the mindset of what goes on in that room, and how proud are you of those guys?
Well, we're extremely proud of them, and Lance Bowman's been up there, and everybody, we can go on and on. These 2 guys, as you mentioned, rightfully so, scored the last 2 games for the Flames. It really helped them, build a little momentum here to put themselves in the playoff hunt. So we're extremely proud of them. The guys are really proud of them. Like, every day they come to the rink wanting to know how well they did, and I'm sure everybody's watching them at night. We're all excited about Paul Byron's, penalty shot goal last night for him. But, it does say something about what the guys are doing down here and how hard they're working. I think you want to put players in a position to be in great shape and have their hands and have their eyes. When I say eyes, they can play with their eyes up. And I think Paul and Roman were doing that down here. Even though we haven't been having success as a group, we have individuals playing well, and they've been able to go up and manage a good hockey game for the NHL.
Certainly a feather in your cap as well. Now 10 NHLers that have started with this team are up in the NHL at some point. You think of Mickelson and some other guys that have been up and down. Houston's in a similar situation. They've had some guys go up and down, and you've got them for 2. Crazy to think you play them 8 times this year, and 6 of the 8 will be in the next 30 days.
Yeah, it's been a slow start with Houston as far as games. We've managed 2 games down there. We've been fortunate to manage on the right side of the game, and we've won 2 games coming home. But you're right, they're in the similar spot. I think both organizations, I don't know where, I think Calgary's in the top 4 or 5 in terms of injuries in the NHL, and I'm sure Minnesota's maybe even above that, maybe the top 3. So their roster has changed quite a bit. So I think they're in the same position we are. They're trying to manage through a tough time and not their normal bodies. But with everything considered, you'd expect 2 great games because both of our games so far with them have been 1-0 and a shootout and a 5-4 win. So they've been tight games.
Pleasure as always. Thanks for your time, Coach.
You're welcome.
For more on the Heat, head to our website, abbotsfordheat.com. Check out the Heat Hub, also YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter.